currently driving to one of the most remote places in all of Botswana, Kubu Island. And when we're done there, we're going to go and look at the meerkats on Ntwetwe Pan, drive all the way up to Savuti, down to Khwai, where we're going to camp right next to the dead tree forest. And then we're also going to spend some time in Moremi at Third Bridge and Kakanaka. And we're even going to fly over the Okavango Delta. And then we'll end this trip in one of our favorite places in Botswana, Mashatu Game Reserve. This is the best of Botswana, brought to you by Jim Green Footwear.
Try this a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks that I know. I'm getting tired of talking, and I need more of a show right now.
Yo.
It's time that you made your mind up.
We found the wild dogs.
Lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other. Every day, I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now.
Adventures like these would not be possible without the legends over on Patreon. So if you'd like to join them, check out the link in the video description. With fantastic views, mind-blowing photographic opportunities, and some unexpected encounters, Kubu Island really was the perfect place to start our Best of Botswana adventure. We even ran a 10K on the pan itself.
Sun is just about to rise.
But before I show you just how magical Kubu Island was, let's rewind for a second. Our journey started on the 5th of May as we headed for Stockport border post and crossed a very full Limpopo River into Botswana. As many overlanders do, we aimed for Kama Rhino Sanctuary. It's the perfect stopover en route to Kubu Island, and because we got there early, we had enough time to go and look for rhinos. As the sun dipped below the horizon, we headed back to camp to light the first of many fires.
Good morning from Kama Rhino Sanctuary. Man, I cannot tell you how cold it was last night. They predicted 10 degrees Celsius. It felt like -10. But we survived, and today is a very exciting day because we are going to Kubu Island, where we're going to be spending 2 nights. And the weather has been absolutely perfect. Clear skies, no wind. We're just going to have to survive the cold. Kama Rhino Sanctuary has been amazing. Luckily we arrived here nice and early yesterday, which gave us enough time to go for a nice game drive, and we had the most beautiful rhino sightings. But now I think it's time for a cup of coffee. Hey Kathan, how was your first night in Botswana?
A little cold.
Did you survive?
A little bit.
Oh, it's cold, eh?
Yeah. I heard the hyena was in camp last night.
Yeah, I have a feeling that we had a little visitor. Probably came after my leftover chicken bones. I'm so angry at myself, I completely forgot to put the trail camera up, but I did bring 2 of them with, so for the rest of the trip, if I do remember, we'll put that up as well.
Kathan joined me in Mashatu last year, but this was his first big overlanding trip in Botswana. And in order to experience the best the country has to offer, we've given ourselves 26 days to explore some of its wildest places, starting with Kubu Island. For most of the trip, we'd be sleeping on the ground in small hiking tents, as opposed to on rooftop tents like most overlanders. It makes you feel a little bit closer to nature.
There we go, the camp is all packed away here at Kama Rhino Sanctuary. We're going to quickly go and have a shower and then slowly make our way to Kubu Island. Can't wait to see the Milky Way, the Baobab trees, and the wide open spaces of the Khwai Pans.
We decided to leave Khwai River Sanctuary relatively early so that we could get to Kubu Island long before the sun set. We filled up Tom Cruiser in Lake Lakani and headed for the village of Motsumu, the last bit of civilization before we drove onto the vast Khwai Pans.
It's funny, we just drove here into Motsumu and a guy waves me down. I completely forgot that you had to stop here at the little offices, the Kubu Island offices in Motsumu. He just wanted to see our reservation number, and good thing is they actually have wood as well. So 25 puller, a big bundle, not bad. So I'm going to buy 2, put it on the roof, and then we'll deflate the tires. My family and friends were kind enough to buy me an Indiflate for my birthday. I've never used it out in the field, but super handy because you can deflate 2 tires at the same time. So I'm going to quickly connect them and maybe go down to about 2 bar for the sandy road ahead. So what's really cool is that this automatically equalizes. If the 2 tires had a different pressure, it equalizes. And you can see here that it's at 2.7 bar now. I pumped it to 2.5, so obviously as it got hot, it's gone up quite a bit. But now what we're going to do is deflate it to 2 bar, and you just do it by basically doing that. Cool, so now to try and get this wood on the roof without it falling off, I'll probably have to strap it under all that stuff. But check this cool thing that I got from Rudu at Outdoor Campers. I think it's an opposite lock product. It's called a Mean Green, the ultimate SUV doorstep. Doesn't look like much, but what's quite cool is it just clicks in here on your door and gives you a step. So super duper handy. Grab this wood, and it's at least going to make it a bit easier to get to the top. Bring it as close as you can. That is amazing. It's hard to see on the GoPro, but way in the distance you can see the Khwai Pans. So, road to Kubu Island, so exciting. It splits into so many different ways. It looks like a chicken foot, and then you get at that fork in the road, or forks in the road, and you're not 100% sure which way you should go. And at this stage we've kind of just trusted Tracks for Africa, the little purple line, but every now and again we've had to kind of override it and make an executive decision to take a different route. But man, it's exciting. Oh, we're approaching the edge of the pan now. Check this. Just gone 3 o'clock and we have finally made it to Kubu Island. Quite a lot later than I thought we would, but it's because we stopped so much to admire the pans. We're going to quickly check in here at the gate and then set up camp.
And then it was time to swap my gym green shullies for some African Ranger barefoot boots.
We have set up our camp, relaxed a little bit, and it's probably now about 45 minutes before the sun sets. So Kate and I are going to set off,
and walk onto the island towards the east, towards where the nicest baobabs are, and look for some nice photographic opportunities. What do we want to try and do tonight is to get some sunset shots and maybe some beautiful shots of the Milky Way. There's a bit of a moon, I think it's about 60+%, but that's quite nice initially because it might light up some of the trees for us without us having to take a light with, and then maybe early tomorrow morning we'll get the complete dark skies. I've swapped my gym green shullies for my barefoot African Rangers. They are very comfortable boots, pretty much designed to make you feel like you're walking barefoot, and I like them because they've got a 0 drop. It just really helps you to feel everything underfoot very, very clearly. And also it's nice and wide in the front, which is great for me with my big frog feet. Kathan has got his normal African Rangers on. I saw them now for the first time and they look nice, so definitely a pair I'm going to get for myself in the future. But you'll see us now walking into the island, and then we'll share with you some of our best shots that we take tonight. Look at us. While everybody else is having beers or gin and tonics, we are walking with our photography gear onto the island, going to look for nice baobab trees. These beautiful mongongwa trees, the ones that were at Khwai River Sanctuary, are all over the place as well. They're quite pretty. We thought they were going to be full of leaves, but this one is actually full of fruit.
They weren't like that in Khwai.
No. We were also a little bit worried that the baobab trees were all going to have leaves, and that sort of maybe spoils the photos a little bit to not have that upside down look. But over a distance we could see that most of them, whoops, big spider, that most of them have actually lost their leaves.
This is cool.
Amazing, eh?
This is so cool.
Gaten and I have just arrived at the beacon, the highest point of Kubu Island, and I tell you what, the view is insane. Kathan, how does it feel to stand on top of the world, on top of Kubu Island?
I've been thinking about this moment for a long, long time, and it's definitely lived up to the hype.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah, speechless.
Looking forward to taking some shots.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
As the sun disappeared behind the horizon, we started taking our first photos at Kubu Island, and we would do so well into the night. Yeah, that looks amazing, eh? Like that. After another early morning photography session, we walk to the eastern tip of the island, where a short climb gives you the best view of the sunrise. It is 6:20 and we have just finished an epic night of photography here at Kubu Island. We were up until about 9:15 last night, and then we got up again at 2:30 this morning, made ourselves some coffee, and then came up and photographed these baobab trees and the rocks under the Milky Way when it was completely dark. Yeah, absolutely epic. We're sitting on basically on the eastern side now, on the highest point, waiting for the sun to rise, and luckily brought some coffee. What a night, eh? Yo. Tomorrow morning this time we're running to the sun. Actually, maybe back already.
Like that person.
Yeah, exactly. There's no other place like Kubu Island. Yes, it might be difficult to reach, but it's one of the most beautiful places you'll ever see, especially if you give yourself enough time like Kathan and I did. If you love overlanding, add it to your bucket list. Back at camp, we decided to create a little office next to the car in order to go through all the amazing footage we had captured during the night. We're back at camp now and I am filthy, so it's time for a bucket shower. But first, let me quickly show you the setup. At the moment, we are charging our Bluetti and Jackery power banks. So the solar panels are both out. And then this is our office. As you'll see, we've opened our big country ostrich wing awning and we've put the side panels on. Kathan's already busy downloading, checking some of the awesome footage that we got.
Stuff from last night looks insane.
You're happy, eh?
Yeah, super stoked.
Awesome, man. And then here, back of the car, it's a little bit of a mess. Behind me is my tent. And then let me show you the bucket shower. Basically just put it up right now. And this is where I am going to get clean right now. While I was having a shower, some little feathered neighbors came down for a bath. Man, it feels so good to be clean, and it also feels great to have downloaded all the footage. Remember, it's 2 cameras, then the GoPro and the cell phone, and we are going to have to do that every single day. Otherwise, things are going to fill up too quickly. And I just love this little office that we've created with the ostrich wing awning and its side panels. It's definitely one of my favorite things about the big country products. And remember that I actually have a 10% discount code for anybody that orders big country products from them directly. So go and check out the link in the video description. After downloading all our footage and taking a nice long nap, we closed the ostrich wing awning and headed off to experience yet another must-see moment at Kubu, the sun setting behind the island. As the Milky Way faded and the horizon caught fire, Kathan and I set off to do something we had dreamed about since we first started planning this trip. It is about 6:30 or so, and we are running on the Khadi pans. Gonna try and do a 10k. See how it goes. Sun is just about to rise.
That was hands down the best run I've done in my life. Wow, something truly, truly special. We are gonna pack up our camp now, and the next time you'll see us, we'll be making our way to Planet Baobab.
Gas in the tank, fast in the rear view. 2 lanes in a big sky, clear blue. No map, no, we don't know where we're going. We're just keeping these 4 tires rolling.
We've been driving on this road from Kubu Island to Gweta for hours now, and it is hands down the most remote road that I've ever driven. And we haven't seen any other cars. We've seen a few horses, some ostriches and some cows, and the odd little homestead where maybe a person waves at you, but other than that there is nothing out here. And the advice that I can give you is just don't attempt driving this road, Kubu Island to Gweta, without Tracks for Africa, because the road splits around every corner and you can get seriously lost. And if you do, who knows how long it'll take before you get back to civilization.
For extra peace of mind, I always carry a satellite phone with me as well when I'm driving in extremely remote areas like this. I rent it from a company called Sat4Rent, which I can highly recommend, and I'll leave a link to their website in the video description. By 1:15, we finally pulled into the little town of Gweta, and just beyond that was our overnight stop, Planet Baobab, where we had booked a special activity.
So, slight change of plan. We've just arrived here at Planet Baobab, and we were going to go and do the meerkat visit on Pan this afternoon, where you basically go and visit the meerkat colony and spend some time photographing them. But what they didn't tell us is that it is a 6-hour-long activity that they usually do in the mornings. So unfortunately we can't do it tomorrow morning because we've got quite far to go. So yeah, we just, after having this long day on the road and getting up at 2:30 this morning to photograph baobab trees, we've unfortunately had to cancel. But that's not the end of the world. We're very tired after this long drive, and luckily at Planet Baobab they have got a restaurant and a bar, so we're going to go and grab something to eat. That was nice to eat in a restaurant for a change. I'm back here in our campsite here at Planet Baobab, and it's time to pump Tom Cruise's tires. I obviously deflated it to 2 bars when we went to Kubu Island, and now that we're back on the tar road to Maun tomorrow, I want to take it back up to 2.5. And I actually have a new toy to use, and it's called the Lumio Smart Pump Extreme. Now this actually started popping up on my Instagram feed after I had all those issues with my battery when we went to Chobe in January, because not only is this a compressor, but it actually can jumpstart your car as well. So I actually reached out to them, and they were kind enough to send me this unit to test on this trip, so I'm going to give it a go now. So like I said, it can jumpstart your car, it's a compressor, and it actually also acts as a battery bank. Switch it on to car. Man, that is so easy. You literally just press in what pressure you wanted to take it to, and then simply press a button and wait for it to be done. Now let's just hope we don't need it to jumpstart the car.
After downloading some footage, we decided to have an early night, not only to catch up on some sleep, but also because we wanted to head to Maun around sunrise the following morning.
Step by step, I've walked 100 miles, and I still ain't sure just what I'm trying so hard to find.
It is 1 o'clock on Friday the 9th of May, and Keithan and I are just pulling out of the chaotic, bustling town of Maun in northwestern Botswana. And boy, we had a crazy morning here. We left Planet Baobab nice and early, just after sunrise, so we could cut through the Naipans, Mahadikhadipan national parks to get to Maun early, because what I haven't told you is that we've actually struggled with our National Lunar camping fridge over the last few days. So we went to a place called the Frozen Donkey, which a friend of ours recommended to us, and they were very kind to check what was wrong. And actually it seems like the controller went because of a leak deep inside the fridge. So unfortunately the fridge has to stay back here in Maun for the week while we go up to Savuti. But thankfully my great friend Yeri de Vet, who many of you will know from some of my previous overlanding safaris, was able to reach out to some contacts and organize not 1 but 2 camping fridges for us here in town. The one unfortunately was too big,
for our fridge slider. But Khwai, thank you so much for offering for us to use that. But the other one is a 40-litre Engel fridge. So Letitia, thank you so much that we can borrow your fridge, and Yei, thank you again for organizing it. We managed to pick up that fridge, and we did our shopping at Checkers, withdrew some pullahs, and also filled up our 4 jerry cans to have extra fuel in Savuti. So we are ready for the next part of this amazing adventure. You never really know how bad this road from Maun to Baobab is going to be, but I'll tell you what, today it has been very corrugated. Luckily though, the brand new Tough Dog suspension I had fitted the other day at Outdoor Campers is doing an amazing job. It's been such a smooth ride, and I think the fact that I deflated the tires to 2 bar has also helped a lot. Now I'm not actually driving all the way to Savuti today, as you may expect. We left Planet Baobab early this morning, and we're actually going to a place that I've only ever driven past the signs and wondered what it looks like there, and it's called Monkwe Tented Retreat. And believe it or not, the owner Marinus actually stays in Hoedspruit as well. I had coffee with him the other day, and he kindly offered that Keithan and I go and stay there tonight. So let's go and have a look and see what it's like. We have arrived after another exciting day on the road.
Welcome to Monkwe. It's the welcome to Monkwe. Enjoy your stay. Arriba Tile Bajanala. Basile Bajanala.
That's a good welcome.
We couldn't have asked for a much warmer welcome at Monkwe Tented Retreat. And after a much needed shower and a quick bite, we were ready to explore the area around camp.
There we go, time for our first and only afternoon game drive here from Monkwe. Can't wait to see what we find.
The veld around Monkwe was dense but beautiful, and it felt great knowing that for the first time on this trip, we stood a chance of seeing things like lions, leopards and wild dogs. In fact, not long into our drive, our guide Odie spotted some fresh lion tracks, but the cats themselves were nowhere to be found. We did, however, spot some zebras and a herd of giraffe, and by sunset we had pulled over at a seasonal pan for some sundowners.
So we've done just this wonderful game drive here from Monkwe and driven to a place called Zebra Pan. It's an enormous pan, but most of it has actually dried up already, although we have noticed there's plenty of water in the veld. I was around in this area in January and there were very heavy rains, so the area is lush and the animals are very scattered. Talking about animals, we actually found here next to the pan some places where the elephants dig, and I'm assuming that they're digging for nutrients. Let me show you. You can see it's almost like these big crater-like structures, and basically the elephants come down and you can actually see where they've used their tusks to actually dig out some of this mud that I'm assuming has got some kind of nutrient in it that they can't find out in the field. We saw some fresh lion tracks as well, and now we're just having some sundowners and enjoying this first day in, well, on the edge of the Okavango Delta, and we cannot wait to do another game drive here tomorrow morning and then to head up to Savuti.
Odie, who also leads day excursions into the neighboring Moremi Game Reserve and Khwai Concession, told us about a pride of lions around Mokoro, where we would be camping in 5 days' time, that has 7 tiny cubs. Would we be lucky enough to find them ourselves? Only time would tell. We woke up to a freezing morning and decided to warm up by the fire while we waited for the sun to rise. There was a massive commotion around the camp waterhole the night before, and our best guess was that a herd of elephants had bumped into a pride of lions. We could actually hear them trumpeting and contact calling right outside our rooms. It really is a wild little camp, and from the air you can see just how many game trails lead down to the water's edge. I love how Mankwe is tucked away in a natural Mopane thicket that keeps it nice and cool during the heat of the day. And my room with its wonderful shower and comfortable bed was just what the doctor ordered before a week of sleeping on the ground again. I'll leave a link to the Hideaways Africa website in the video description if you'd like to learn more about Mankwe Tented Retreat, or its smaller, more rustic sister camp, Camelthorn Tree Bush Camp, which is located nearby. If you ask me, it certainly beats sleeping in Maun itself if you're looking for a base en route to Moremi, Khwai or Savuti. After making some coffee for the road, we put on our warmest layers and braved the cold on a morning game drive. And because we weren't in any rush, it meant that we could explore a little bit further away from camp.
It's been such a wonderful morning so far. We left camp just after sunrise, driven through the Mopane veld to the north, and we've come to these stunning pans, and there's just waterbirds everywhere. There's comb ducks, spurwing goose, white-faced whistling ducks, some blacksmith lapwings, some beautiful open-billed storks. It really is paradise. That's not a hippo there, hey? That's just a lot. Is that a hippo? Yeah. Wow.
Odie drove us all the way to the banks of the Khwai River, a lush green contrast to the stark white mahari pans we had crossed just days earlier. This was our first real taste of the Okavango Delta, and we enjoyed it so much that we continued birdwatching for the rest of the morning. Eventually we had to head back to camp where a delicious breakfast was waiting for us. We devoured it and said goodbye to our new friends at Mankwe before hitting the road again.
The first leg of our Best of Botswana overlanding adventure to Khwai River Sanctuary, Kubu Island and Mankwe Tented Retreat has come to an end, and we're now heading north on this lovely corrugated road to Savuti to find some animals.
We had given ourselves more than 2 weeks to see and experience the best northern Botswana has to offer, starting with 4 nights at Savuti. From there we would head to Khwai for another 4 nights, followed by 8 nights in Moremi, split equally between Kakanaka and Third Bridge, but not before restocking in Maun, of course.
So it's 20 to 3 and we've just entered Baobab Gate in Chobe National Park, slowly making our way to Savuti. In front of me is the split between the Sandridge Road and the Marsh Road, and the gentleman at the gate said stay right and then take the Marsh Road for 21 kilometers and then go back across. Apparently the grass gets very, very tall at the marsh itself, but the first bit is not quite as sandy as the Sandridge Road. So really looking forward to getting to Savuti, but we've got a little bit of a game drive ahead of us. It's just gone 4 o'clock and we've just rejoined the Sandridge Road, and immediately it's a lot sandier than the Marsh Road, and I'm so grateful that we took the Marsh Road because not only was it incredibly beautiful, but it was a very easy drive. It's about 35 kilometers that it saved us from this thick sandy road. We've got about an hour to our campsite and the light is getting really nice, so who knows, maybe we actually get a good sighting or two. No. Gathan and I are about 13 kilometers from Savuti campsite, and he's like, what's that in the road? And we're like, it's a wild dog, it's a wild dog. And I actually guessed our first predator would be a wild dog. It was a brown hyena, daytime brown hyena. First time for you ever, eh?
First time.
Come on.
So cool.
Oh, unfortunately it just ran off. Let's just see, maybe it's still around. Can't believe we just saw a brown hyena.
That was
unbelievable.
so unexpected.
You know, Kathan and I have just been talking about like good vibes and putting good energy out there, and it's pretty much what we've done this whole trip, and it's paid off big time, eh?
Yeah,
Bat Hawk this morning, brown hyena this afternoon. Life is amazing.
Got to ride our luck at the moment.
Yo, come on!
We arrived at the Savuti campsite entrance just before 6 p.m. and quickly set about pitching our tents before it got dark.
The sun has just set here in Savuti, and we've just pitched our tents here at campsite number CV10, and it's such a beautiful stand under this massive camel thorn tree, and we're right at the edge of the campsite, so we feel a little bit removed from everybody else. Now, I look a little bit like I've run a 10k along the Mopane sand ridge. It certainly feels like it, but it's very hot when we arrived here. And a top tip, anybody that's driving to Savuti that's a little bit worried about having to leave the Sandy 2 track because of traffic from the front, especially if you have a bush trailer or a caravan, try and aim to be here around sunset. And all that means is that there's no traffic heading south when you're coming north. You can just imagine anybody heading to Maun or Khwai or Moremi or any of the destinations south of here will have to leave quite a lot earlier. So we had literally, I think, one car coming from the front, and that was close to Mababi Gate. So definitely keep that in mind. Just give yourself enough time to arrive here before the gates close. Kathan and I are still buzzing from that brown hyena sighting we had close to camp, and we actually heard some impalas give alarm calls now, so who knows, maybe there's a leopard or a lion close by. For now, I'm going to light a fire, have a shower, and the next time you see us, we'll be out on our first morning game drive here at Savuti. It's our first morning game drive here at Savuti, and it is just so beautiful. We've come south of camp because we heard lions roaring all night, and we've checked the first few waterholes up to Peter's Pan, and we're now driving through those beautiful apple leaf groves close to Leopard Rock. I'm going to go towards the Pitsy Pans. We just want to check to see which pans do have water in them, and if we have no luck there, we'll either head to Leopard Rock itself or maybe down to the channel.
We've just got back to our camp here at Savuti after a lovely morning drive, and we've just put out our solar panels to charge our battery bank so we can get a little bit of work done and to download all the photographs and videos that we took. And I noticed this morning that I'm down to my last pair of socks, so I'm definitely going to have to do some washing today, but luckily it's nice and sunny weather, so it should dry quickly. Now, speaking about my socks, it's quite fitting because I have my South African flag socks on and I'm wearing it with my Jim Green shoelies. Now, Jim Green is a proudly South African company that create the most amazing boots and fellies, and they're also the sponsor of this series. So Gareth and the team, thank you so much for making this trip possible by sponsoring fuel and accommodation and so much more. If you guys are looking for an awesome pair of fellies or boots to go on an adventure like this for, these are the guys to use. And what I love so much about Jim Green footwear is that they are very conservation minded. They've literally sponsored thousands of pairs of boots to rangers across Southern Africa to help them do their job and keep our rhinos and other animals safe. So if you guys are keen to learn more, go and check out the link that I've added in the video description. For now, let me go and do some washing. Catherine and I decided to come north to Harvey's Pan this afternoon, and at first it seemed quite quiet. Only sleepy blackback jackals, some very lazy blue wildebeest, some fishing spoonbills. But then we realized that there's actually hundreds and hundreds of Birchall zebra around, and I'm guessing it's part of the zebra migration that came north through the Khwai Pans, and they're spending time here now in northwestern Botswana. But man, we must have seen 500 plus already, and I'm sure there's more. We're going to do a big loop now around these open areas on the western side of the road, and then come back to the pans when the light is not quite so harsh. Cathan heard some lions roaring just after 4 o'clock in the morning, and luckily he sat up in his tent so that he could get the exact direction, and you can't believe it, exactly where he thought the roaring came from. We found tracks in the road where the pride had laid down, and we've been driving around now for about half an hour, and it looks like they actually came from Harvey's Pans where we were yesterday afternoon. Explains a bit why all the animals just disappeared just around sunset. We are now driving to that big beautiful open plain we explored in the afternoon, because our investigation this morning looking at tracks suggests that they went a little bit further to the west. So fingers crossed we find them soon. We found plenty of fresh tracks, but no lions. They always seem to be one step ahead of us. We just stopped here on the open pan, and then we heard some growling, almost sounded like lions fighting, not far from here. Actually very close to where we found the initial tracks, so we're quickly following up to see whether we can find what's making that noise. Came from here somewhere, eh?
Yeah.
Just beyond, maybe on the other side of the main road.
Yeah.
This is fun. It sounded like a squabble almost. Maybe they made a kill in one of these thickets. Listen to the Franklins this side. Cathan, let's check. Let's quickly check in here.
These lions have given us a proper run around. The Pride is so big that there's tracks going in literally in every direction. We checked the big open pan, we checked where we heard the growl coming from, we went south. Now we're heading north towards Harvey Pans because there's 2 sets of tracks coming this way and the light is still very, very beautiful. So who knows, maybe 2 of the Pride members decided to come this way. I'm gonna go and have a quick look.
And then, just when we were about to give up hope,
Cathan just spotted a lion. It's walking away from us into a big block. I don't know how we're gonna get closer to it, but we had pretty much just given up and cut our losses. It looks like a lioness, and she's walking through the wild sage away from us. Where are you going, my girl?
Oh, well done.
Well done, man.
Yeah, that's what we're looking
Yeah,
for.
exactly. It's so funny. We literally just said that what are the chances that now that we've given up, we just come around the corner and we'll bump into lions, and Cathan's words were, that would be justice.
we loved the area around Harvey's Pan so much that we decided to go back there in the afternoon. A decision that ended up being a very good one.
During our first 2 drives, we saw hardly any sign of elephants here around Savuti. But then finally this morning, we found some fresh tracks for a whole herd crossing west from Harvey's Pans towards those open plains. And we've come back here this afternoon and there are elephants everywhere. We have left the Harvey's Pans. The elephants have all moved into the thickets, and it's probably about 45 minutes before sunset, and we're so unsure about where to sit and wait for the pride of lions that we think are in the area and where they might drink. So we've decided to go back where we left that lioness this morning. We know exactly where she was. Maybe we get lucky and we bump into her or the rest of the pride before they start getting active and move down to water. But at this stage, it's really anybody's guess.
Again, the pride eluded us, but just after sunset, we were treated to another magical elephant encounter.
Yesterday afternoon got quite chaotic around Harvey's Pans. There were so many vehicles there because of the lions that were in the area, that this morning we decided to go way in the opposite direction and come all the way down south to the marsh. And I think we'd only seen one vehicle until we pulled up to a tiny little waterhole, and Cathan said, "What's that lying there?" And it looked kind of like either a piece of cement, or you know, the feeding blocks that sometimes get put out at man-made waterholes, which I think this one is because there's a solar panel. And he said, "No, wait, that's a cheetah." And he spotted the tail, and there's this big male cheetah lying straight into the sun, just watching us. But unfortunately he was a little bit nervous, so he got up and just slowly moved away. But luckily for us, he did sit up beautifully next to a termite mound for a little while. But yo, that was always going to be the hardest cat to find here on this trip, Cheetah, because it is quite dense here in northern Botswana. But wow, what a sighting. We had such a chill day in camp. I pretty much lay there reading my book the whole day. And it's also the first day that we have proper clouds in the sky. They've just rolled in from nowhere. So we've decided to leave a little bit earlier. It's about 3:15, and we're going to head north to Harvey's Pans and see whether those ellies come back. And with these clouds in the sky, might make for some really nice shots. It's amazing. We came down in search of elephants, and what we have found are hundreds and hundreds of zebras. Different herds all coming together, and in the excitement, one herd nearly flattened a black-backed jackal. We're back on the big open plain just to the northwest of camp, and Cathan just spotted what looked like over 100 vultures just taking off, kind of like something spooked them. And our gut feeling at the moment is that is where that lion pride is, the pride that's been eluding us north of camp. Maybe they made a kill last night, and that's why we didn't hear them. So we're trying to get close to see whether we can see what these vultures are feeding on. Unfortunately, there's not a huge road network here, but they're sitting about 400-500 meters away from us towards the setting sun. On the GPS though, I can see that there is a loop that we can do, so we might have to do that and go around and see whether the road passes close to them. But because it's a little bit cooler this afternoon, it kind of feels like a lion could pop out at any moment. I think it's a detour again. Oh no, it is going that way. Okay, this road is going exactly towards the vultures. So now we have to keep our eyes peeled. There's Impala. Oh, there they are in front.
Someone landing on top.
Yeah.
On the ground.
God, all the trees in front of us are full of vultures, but no sign of lions yet. Okay, we couldn't find anything in this gully, so we're going up the ridge with some momentum to where the last vultures came into land. Going into land there. There's the cars.
Leopard first.
Oh, there's a leopard face. Right, so we've just found the carcass. Let's just see whether we can figure out what it is. squabbling sound. So it's a little bit dense where these vultures are feeding, and there's probably 20-25 of them left on the ground, mostly whiteback vultures. There's at least one lappet-faced vulture in there, but I think they've probably finished most of the carcass, and there's no sign of any lions, unfortunately. But if they killed last night, they obviously would have had the whole day to feed on it.
There was no question about it. There were lots of lions in Savuti. We just seemed to be one step behind them. We left the squabbling vultures to continue our search, only to find one of my favorite bird species right around the corner.
Gaithan and I just had the most remarkable sighting. We were coming down the ridge where we had the vultures, and in the distance he saw a secretary bird, and when we got closer we realized that not only were there two of them, but they were collecting sticks for a nest. And we actually saw them fly up, start building the beginning of the nest, and then actually doing a little courting dance. I would say best sighting of the trip so far.
On our way back to camp on our final game drive at Savuti, we finally spotted another lion. A big, handsome male. We may have had difficulty tracking down the lions of Savuti, but little did we know that we would have our best lion sightings of the entire trip at our next destination, Khwai. Luckily for us, we had plenty of opportunities left, so we filled up Tom Cruiser and headed south on the infamous Mababi Sand Ridge Road, pulling over to make space for other overlanders towing off-road caravans and properly putting the new Tough Dog suspension to the test. Our base for the following 4 nights would be Mokoro Community Campsite in the Khwai Concession, one of the best game viewing areas in all of Botswana.
It's exactly 10 years since I first came to Khwai, and it's my 6th visit here to Mokoro. And we've got the most beautiful campsite just overlooking the dead tree forest. It's not actually one of the official campsites, it's one of the reserve campsites, and I don't know anybody else that has ever camped here before other than my good friend Yei de Vet, that many of you will know. So Yei, thank you so much for this recommendation. We had a long, brutal drive down from Savuti in the thick sand, but we're here now, our camp is all set up, and we're gonna go for our first game drive.
Yes, we did make an official booking and paid for a regular stand, but it's only because it was one of the worst ones that we opted to stay on the reserve stand. It felt fantastic to explore the endless network of stunning tracks around Mokoro again, and it didn't take long for the game viewing gods to smile upon us.
It's been an absolutely amazing start here in Mokoro and Khwai. We went for a drive along the river, then up the Mbudi Channel, and then just as we were about to head into the dead tree forest, we found some lions, and 2 lionesses came to lie right next to us, grooming each other. What a start.
It was a pride of 5 adult lionesses on the edge of the dead tree forest, and we could see that a couple of them had swollen teats with suckle marks. This must be the pride that Odie spoke about when we stopped for sundowners at Mankwe, but where were the cubs? One thing was for sure, we would do everything in our power to find them in the 4 days we had at Mokoro. Shortly after leaving the lions, we found our first elephants in Khwai. Back at our campsite, I lit a fire and admired the spectacular sunset. After a quick dinner, we set up the trail cameras and decided to have an early night after our long day on the road. Tomorrow, we look for lion cubs. Kathan and I got up an hour before sunrise each morning so that we could listen for lions roaring in the distance. Our trail cameras didn't capture any visitors during the night, but that would soon change. As soon as it was light enough to spot animals, we hit the road. Khwai is essentially divided into 2 game viewing areas. The area between the Khwai River and the Transit Road, where our campsite is located, and the area south of the Mbudi Channel, also known as the Island, and home to a couple of private lodges. The animals that use this area are not shy to cross the water, but it can be a lot trickier for vehicles, especially if you don't know which line to take at the crossings. Our plan was not to cross the Mbudi Channel if we didn't have to, and luckily for us, the lionesses were on our side of it.
It's our first morning game drive here at Mokoro, and it is so beautiful. We're driving east along the Khwai River towards the Chobe Cut Line, and last night the lions were roaring right throughout the night. Apparently the coalition of males here are called the Boys of Destruction, and I think there's 5 or 7 of them. It's something crazy. So yeah, those are the guys we're looking for this morning. We had a quick drive through the dead tree forest. No sign of the lions we left there last night, and also no sign of leopard. But boy, it's just so pretty to be back in this area, and oh, so beautiful. While we were sitting with these 2 big, beautiful elephant bulls along the Khwai River, we heard a lion roaring north of us, and I think it's walking from the Chobe Cut Line west towards the dead tree forest. So we quickly jumped onto one of the roads that runs north. Let's see whether we can catch up with it. I think this is close to where we left those other 2. But I think it's a little bit more this way, or it could be anywhere here, I suppose. We just came down the Chobe Cut Line, and we actually found the spot where the lions crossed into the Mopane Veld towards the west. So yeah, we're going to have to go a little bit further south and then see whether there's a road that cuts into here. So no luck with this lion, unfortunately. We left it somewhere in the block between the Chobe Cut Line and the road that we just drove, but it is heading straight towards our campsite. So maybe it pops out there this evening. I've come back down to the Khwai River now to see whether or not we can spot a new bird species or 2. Now that we're close to water, we're seeing things like night herons and egrets and darters, jacanas. So, oh, there goes a spurwing goose. Very nice.
We were able to spot a juvenile Allen's gallinule, a new species for our list. Back at our campsite, we opened the ostrich wing awning and propped up our solar panels before taking a break.
Hey, Kathan,
What do you think of our campsite here in Khwai?
I think by far, out of all the places we stayed so far, this is the best.
How was last night? How was last night?
It was touch and go.
Why do you say that?
It was a herd of impala that I think they came into the campsite to rest, and yeah, I don't know if it was maybe a hyena or a lion or a leopard that came through, but something spooked them and they started alarm calling, and I Afrikaans says skrik. I skrik myself straight. I was quite tense in the tent last night, but yeah, we'll put camera traps up, so hopefully we can see what came through.
What do you think about the area and the dead tree forest and the river and everything?
It's beautiful. I think obviously, like, looking at it from a sort of photographer's perspective, there's a lot of potential. Like, we go out every morning now through the dead tree forest, hoping that we find a leopard on a log there somewhere. But yeah, from photography, there's just so much potential. So super excited to see what we find over the next couple of days.
Since I first came to Mokoro, it's been a hotspot for leopard sightings, especially in the dead tree forest close to our campsite. But upon arrival, Kathan and I learned that the famous Mokoro female had unfortunately passed away recently, and that her equally relaxed daughter, who I had seen many times before, had since moved far away onto the island, on the other side of the Mbudi Channel. Perhaps we stood a better chance of seeing leopards in Moremi, but for now we were happy to look for lions. By 3:30, we were ready to hit the road again. Not long into our drive, we received some bad and good news.
We just got some very interesting news from a very friendly guy called Claude that apparently the lions have crossed the Mbudi Channel. Very early this morning, he was on the other side and he found some females with cubs. The other interesting news is the fact that the channel seems to be crossable. So we're heading to the point that he showed us on his phone now. The question is, are we brave enough?
We drove all the way along the Khwai River to the exact spot that Claude had crossed the channel, trying to figure out just how badly we wanted to see these lion cubs. Even though Tom Cruiser has a snorkel, crossing deep water is always risky and could mean the end of the trip if we got stuck. At least we could see some fresh vehicle tracks heading in, and there was a crowd of people watching from the other side.
So we've come here to the crossing point. There's definitely tracks going through, so I think I'm going to brave it. Let's see whether we can make it to the other side. At least there's some people there that can hopefully help us out if we get stuck. Kathan, how are you feeling about this one?
Optimistic.
Optimist? That's a lie. That's a blatant lie.
Sometimes the risk is worth the reward. So I put Tom Cruiser in low range and pulled off slowly in second gear, making sure to keep my momentum without going too fast and risking damaging the car's fan. At first it seemed fine, but then it got very deep. Despite the scare in the middle, we made it through safely. And luckily for us, the guys waiting for us on the other side told us that there was an easier crossing onto the island nearby.
Yo, okay, that was deep. That was scary deep, but it's doable. It's that middle bit, eh? Yeah. We didn't get any water in, so that's at least a win. But my heart's pounding a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. These friendly people are taking us to apparently an easier crossing, so we're going to follow them, and then hopefully we've unlocked a whole new game viewing area. Tell me you love that, Kathan. Tell me you loved it.
It's you don't often get to experience adrenaline like that.
So. Yeah, that was like proper adrenaline. Like, I'm still shaking a little bit. I don't know what these guys must have thought when they saw me now, but I was shaking. But yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, no, that was cool.
We followed the guys to the other crossing point where they showed us just how easy it was, providing you know the right line, of course. And because it was getting late, we followed behind them to get back to the Mokoro side of the channel. Finding the lions would have to wait for the morning. So what finding this crossing place has done for us, it's unlocked a whole different part of game viewing area. The place where Claude found the lions this morning and where we could perhaps get lucky with some leopards. So yeah, very excited about it. Now I just got to calm my nerves a little bit. We took a slow drive back through the dead tree forest, and just before we reached our campsite, this happened. A fitting end to an exciting day. Now let's just hope the lions stay on the island. Otherwise, we might cross for nothing first thing in the morning. In order to give ourselves the best chance of finding the lions, we wanted to get to the area where Claude had seen the cubs 24 hours ago as early as possible. We got onto the island without any trouble, and then, only 6 minutes after crossing the channel, we found them. There were 7 cubs in total, 4 tiny ones and 3 that were only slightly bigger, and the 5 females we had seen on our first afternoon were all there as well. At some stage, something caught the attention of the cubs. One of the boys of destruction had appeared from nowhere. We had the pride to ourselves for nearly an hour, And it was arguably the best lion sighting I'd ever had in my life. It was exactly what Kathan and I had been fantasizing about when we sat around the fire the night before, wondering exactly what Claude had seen when he found them and planning our search for the morning. Beating this was going to be hard, but with 8 nights in Moremi and 2 nights at Mashatu still ahead, anything was possible. On the way back north, I accidentally took the wrong line when crossing the Mbudi Channel. Luckily, I had enough traction to get through without getting stuck. Instead of heading to Mokoro, we headed for the transit road and turned left towards Khwai Safari Grounds. So we've just arrived here at Khwai Safari Grounds, where we are going to be doing a 2-hour Mokoro trip. This is the office here behind me. At the moment it costs 400 pula per person, and inside is the manager, Computer. Hey Computer, how are you?
I'm good, yourself?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Show me your sticker.
So my stickers here. That's the sticker. Khwai is Khwai.
Khwai is Khwai.
The Botswana's Caribbean island.
I like that a lot. Our guide and polar was the super cool and charismatic Zuma, who led us down to the Mokoro station.
And this is your office.
Wow! We're just walking through the Khwai Safari Grounds campsite to the Mokoro station, and we're already seeing elephants drinking on the other side of this beautiful channel here. There we go, and we're off. It's so nice, it's so peaceful.
Very nice and peaceful.
So peaceful.
Yeah.
Zuma was full of interesting facts about Khwai and the greater Okavango Delta, and would stop along the banks every now and again to point out something interesting. About an hour in, we spotted an elephant pool coming down for a drink. So we've just stopped here on the edge of the channel for a quick break, not only for us to take a wee behind a tree, but also for Zuma just to give his arms a bit of a rest. It's amazing the strength that you have, or the strength that you need to pole through this channel. But it's shallow, it's really shallow. You can see the sand below, and you can even see some fish under the water. There's another elephant here along the side, and we couldn't have chosen a better day. It is the most beautiful light and weather. The elephant's coming a little bit closer, so we've decided to get back onto the Mokoro and just to give him his space. Like Zuma just said, if you respect the elephants, they respect you. So we've come to the end of our 2-hour Mokoro trip with Zuma, and I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed it. We saw elephants, we saw a buffalo, and we even saw a pygmy goose, which was Kathan's 10th lifer on this trip. But I was just saying, even without the animals and the birds, it's absolutely worth coming out to do this, because it's just such a different perspective to doing a game drive. It's peaceful, it's quiet, it's beautiful. And Zuma was also saying, top tip, come in the morning. So many people come and do this trip late afternoon, but in the mornings it's a lot cooler, the light is beautiful, and there's actually quite a lot of animals that come down to drink. So come here to Khwai Safari Grounds and come and do a Mokoro trip when you come to Khwai. Zuma, thank you so much, man. That was magical.
Yeah.
Sure. Kathan, what did you think of that?
That was pretty special, eh?
That's good, eh? Wow, what an experience, man. I tell you what, this trip is just getting better and better. Zuma, thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Wow.
Our morning routine here at Mokoro has been to stop at one of the public ablution facilities after our game drive. This morning it's obviously quite late because we went for the Mokoro trip. So it's after 11 o'clock already, and boy, it was good. We even had hot water. But I tell you what, don't expect much. The taps are broken. Only one of the 2 toilets are working. The door stuck to the ground, so they don't look great. And that newer ablution block behind me is completely blocked off by branches. Don't ask me why. Anyways, there's 3 sets of these throughout the camping area. We're at the one next to campsite number 9. And we've got a visitor here behind us. Let me show you. I'll climb up quickly and show you where he is. Oh, here he is. We were basically watching this elephant bull while we were showering, and he was just slowly making his way from the dead tree forest into the thicket here. He's probably on his way down to the Khwai River. By the way, top tip, carry some 5-litre or 10-litre empty water bottles with you when you go out on game drive, so that when you come past these ablution blocks, that you can fill up with some water for your dishes and anything you want to rinse back in camp. The tap here next to the one that's next to campsite number 9 is almost invisible, but it's right next to the ablution block, and I can only assume that the others have one as well. So that's what we've been doing. We've used some of our old drinking water bottles. We've kept 4 of them. And every time we come past in the morning to have a shower, we fill those up with river water. That's what I'm assuming is coming out of the tap. It's quite yellow. And then we use that to wash our dishes.
It was impossible to beat our lion sighting from this morning, so we decided not to cross the Mbudi Channel again in the afternoon. Instead, we explored the area in and around the dead tree forest some more.
Okay, then. How cool is it?
So cool. What a gentle giant.
We had a great campsite in Savuti, but this one in Mashatu was wild. A herd of elephants had visited while we were out, and by 7 o'clock, another visitor was on his way.
We had a lovely afternoon game drive, just driving down along the river and taking a bumble through the dead tree forest. I even bumped into an old university friend of mine, Sean Malan, who works at Machaba camp nearby, and we saw him and his daughter Nala. So yeah, great afternoon. We've just got back to camp. Heard 3 different owls already, white-faced owl, Scops owl and barred owlet. And literally a couple of minutes ago, a big male lion started roaring close by, and it seems like he's coming closer to camp. So I'm going to sit here for a little while and hope that I can record him for you. He is close. Yo!
We sat around the fire for a little while longer before crawling into our tents and falling asleep to the roaring lions. As always, we were up again bright and early, grabbing a coffee and listening for lions. Instead of searching for the boys of destruction around camp, we headed to the far western corner of the concession to one of my favorite places, the Lechwe Plains. As a South African who does most of my game drives in the Greater Kruger, it was wonderful to spend time with a species that I see so seldom, or in Cathan's case, for the first time ever. Coming all the way to the Lechwe Plains was definitely worth the long drive, but in the afternoon we didn't have to go far from Mokoro at all.
It is our last afternoon here at Mokoro, and when we got back from our morning game drive, we heard from someone there at the edge of the dead tree forest that I think it was about 6:30 or 7:30 this morning, quite early. 6 wild dogs ran through the dead tree forest and they headed towards the northwest. So that's where we're heading this afternoon, maybe heading towards what we call Long Pan, which is actually a series of pans just on the edge of the Mopane veld. Let's go see whether we can find our first wild dogs of the Best of Botswana trip. Can you believe it, guys? We found the wild dogs. We came here to the big pan, Matsweri Pan, and we have found 7 wild dogs. Come on.
Just as quickly as they had shown up, they disappeared again. This was our last night in Khwai, and as we got ready to go to sleep, the spotted hyenas became active. This is one of the wildest campsites in all of Botswana, and the reason that I love it so much at Mokoro. That and the beautiful landscape along the Khwai River. We took one last drive along it on our final morning and got the best goodbye present from Khwai. The lions had crossed back over to our side. After an extremely wild, adventurous and productive 4 days in Khwai, Cathan and I headed back to Maun to restock. We spent the night at Island Safari Lodge, where we went for a much needed run, ate in a restaurant for once and slept on comfy beds. After picking up our camping fridge from the frozen donkey the following morning, we filled up our jerry cans and bought groceries for the next leg of the journey. It was time to head back north again on that terribly corrugated road. But this time, we turned left at the split, towards Moremi. We entered the park at Southgate around midday, but still had a long drive left to get to our first campsite in Moremi, Kakanaka.
Sure, that was a beautiful drive, albeit very hot, from Southgate to Kakanaka entrance gate. This area around the campsite is so beautiful. Lovely tall Mopane trees, white sand, and on the GPS we can see we're very close to water. Let's go check in.
We bought some firewood at reception and then headed to where we set up our base at what must be the most beautiful campsite in all of Moremi, Kakanaka stand number 8. With a bit of daylight to spare, we went for a short game drive and found this relaxed elephant pool close to camp. Just before sunset, we had reached Paradise Pools, an area we would fall in love with over the coming days.
Like most nights on this trip, we heard lions roaring all through the night, and when we left camp this morning, we found their tracks very, very early. We found tracks for 2 different females and what looked like 2 massive males as well, but we haven't been able to find them yet. But we're not complaining, because we've come to a place that we found yesterday afternoon to the east of camp called Paradise Pools, and the name says it all. This is probably the most beautiful place we've seen on this whole trip, and we've seen some pretty places. There's water everywhere, stunning massive trees, a lot of them dead, and plenty of ledge where to photograph as well in just stunning, stunning light. There's also plenty of waterbirds around, things like egrets, storks, and some spoonbills fishing in the shallows. Man, I can't tell you how beautiful it is. It's unbelievable. We've been driving around the Paradise Pools now a couple of times, and there are lion tracks literally everywhere. And what's quite cool here is the sand is so fine and soft. You can see the tracks so clearly. It's quite beautiful. But it goes in every different direction. And what you have to remember about these lions in the Delta, they're swamp cats. So it doesn't mean the fact that they came to the water that they just drank and then went back where they came from. They could literally wade right through and disappear into the reeds. So finding a little bit tricky to connect with them this morning, but man, it's exciting.
With the lions nowhere to be found, we decided to explore a little bit. We drove through tall Mopane woodlands, past stunning natural pans, all the way to the floodplains on the other side of camp.
Catherine and I have had such an exciting morning exploring the seasonal tracks to the west or the southwest of Kakanaka after spending some time this morning at Paradise Pools. We thought all of this was going to be completely flooded, but in fact it's bone dry. We've actually struggled to find big pools of water. We've just heard about a leopard that was sighted close by. We do see a vehicle parked here in front, so let's see, maybe we finally see our first leopard of the trip.
All we got was a glimpse. Who knew it would be so tough to find leopards on this trip? Luckily for us, we still had 2 days in Mashatu coming up.
Wow, that was a very special first, not even 24 hours here at Kakanaka. We had such a great time exploring the roads around camp, and I must say our campsite overlooking this marsh is so beautiful. We even have a big termite mound that gives us a little bit of elevation to look a little bit deeper into the swamps themselves. Last night there were not only hippos calling next to the tent but munching away at grass, and I could hear them defecating just behind my tent. They do that spray with their tail. Whew, very exciting. And lions were roaring in all different directions. Even though we couldn't catch up with them this morning, it was very exciting seeing their tracks. I'm out of breath because it's washing day. Heading over here to the ablution block, gonna wash some clothes, and hopefully it's gonna get me through to the end of the trip. Now, speaking of which, this is our second to last leg of this journey. Those of you that have been following along will know that we've been to Kubu Island, to Savuti, to Khwai, and now we've got this week here in Moremi at Kakanaka and Third Bridge before we head down to Mashatu. Hi. I've got nothing for you, I promise. It's so funny. We just sat here reading when this family of warthogs decided to come and say hi, and they're just sniffing the campsite. I don't know whether they're looking for food or whether they like the short grass that the hippo mows every night, but they're not leaving anytime soon.
Warthogs weren't our only neighbors. Shortly after Cathan went for a pee on the first night, a hippo grazed his way right through our campsite, reminding us never to leave our tents without a strong light. What a privilege to camp in the wilderness like this.
That was a super chill day in camp, and I think we've both decided that this is our favorite camp of the whole trip so far. We actually spotted some leopard tracks earlier in camp. It walked right past my tent throughout the night. Unfortunately, the trail camera didn't capture it, but we've set out a little bit earlier this afternoon to see whether we can find it resting in one of these thousands and thousands of big trees close to camp. So we're heading towards the Paradise Pools where we were this morning, but just taking it very slowly.
Unfortunately, we didn't find our leopard, but Paradise Pools was fast becoming our new favorite place.
I said it this morning and I'll say it again, this place is paradise. We're back at Paradise Pools and we've just watched the most beautiful elephant sighting ever, with the setting sun behind, and the whole herd is walking right behind our vehicle now. How amazing was that? Kaithan and I left camp at 6 o'clock this morning to get to the Paradise Pools nice and early to give ourselves a chance to find those lions. We only found tracks, so we decided to turn around and come back to this area where we had the glimpse of the leopards yesterday. It's called Hamakop Pools and Maya Pools, and it's still around 7 o'clock in the morning, nice and early, good light, so it really does feel like we're giving ourselves a chance. We've literally just come into this area and we already have fresh leopard tracks, and it looks like they're going up and down, so I think we're very close. I was just saying to Kaithan, this is like living the dream. It's such a cool place to look for leopards. We're used to looking for them in the thickets of the Lowveld in South Africa, and here we are on the edge, or pretty much inside the Okavango Delta, looking for leopards with swamps next to us and big termite mounds, and it's nice and open. And not only did we have a glimpse of one here yesterday, there's plenty of fresh tracks this morning, so we know they're around. Just testing our skills to see whether or not we can find them on our own. We came across a very friendly guide from a company called Leopard Safaris. He's been the friendliest of all the open safari vehicle guides that we've come across, and he actually said to us that some of his colleagues, or at least some people he's in radio contact with, found a leopard close by. So we've come to that point. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other vehicles here. All we can see is a herd of impala feeding in a relatively dense area, and quite a few sort of Mopane trees around. No sign of the leopard yet, but I'm guessing it's busy stalking the impalas. Let's see whether we get lucky.
The impalas must have spotted the leopard, because all of a sudden they all bolted away. Again, luck was not on our side, but we had a fabulous time at Kakanaka. It was, however, time to head to Third Bridge.
Oh boy, Fourth Bridge is broken, and we've been told you've got to take a little detour. We're close to it now, and we can already see a guy in a self-drive vehicle stuck Luckily there's an open vehicle, one of the lodges there. Hopefully they can help them out. We are taking a little detour now. Let's see what it looks like.
The lodge vehicle had indeed pulled them out, and because they were understandably a little bit nervous, we offered to drive through first. Just look how deceiving these crossings can be. You can't blame them for having tried the left-hand side, which is so much narrower than the right. Fortunately, Third Bridge was crossable, but I won't lie, it still felt a little bit sketchy to cross in certain places.
We've just arrived here at Third Bridge, and I must say throughout this trip the campsite gods really have been smiling on us, because we had that lovely campsite number 10 in Savuti, the wild campsite in Mokoro, and then this campsite number 8 at Kakanaka. The last 3 nights was one of the most beautiful ones that I've ever camped at. So I was a little bit worried, what are the chances that our luck will continue for our time here at Third Bridge as well. And I tell you what, we lucked out again. Campsite number 7, the one that we're standing on, is close enough to the bathrooms but still nice and private. It's got a beautiful view, and then this lovely big sausage tree for shade. So tell you what, we've been super lucky, and I can't wait for us to spend the next 3 days here. We're out on our first afternoon game drive here from Third Bridge, and we heard rumors of a pack of wild dogs that were spotted near Second Bridge. So that's where we're heading now. And boy, there are some very thick, sandy, bumpy bits, but also some beautiful open areas with lovely big pans in between. We still have our fingers crossed for those lovely wattled cranes that we haven't seen yet. But as I say that, we're coming up to 2 or 3 more pans, and I think those are going to be the areas that they frequent. So we'll keep our eyes open as we head further south to where the dogs were seen earlier today. And I believe some lions actually stole a kill from them as well. So things are looking good for Third Bridge. We've come all the way past First Bridge because we saw some open safari vehicles rushing this way. I don't really like following them, but since it's an exploratory trip this afternoon and we're really desperate actually to find some predators, we followed them and they all stopped here in the front. So the next clip you see will be the answer to what it is. Hopefully. Well, that is a nice surprise. It wasn't lions, it wasn't wild dogs, which are the 2 species we were told about earlier. It's 2 beautiful cheetah brothers lying in golden light on a low mound. Sure, Moremi magic.
Because we were very far from camp, we had to leave the Cheetah brothers before sunset. But as we got closer to Third Bridge, we stopped next to one of the pans to watch the light fade. What a great first game drive.
It's been an absolutely amazing start to our first morning here at Third Bridge. We left bright and early at 6 o'clock, sat by a pan for a little while just to listen out for lions. Couldn't hear anything, so we headed back in the direction that we went yesterday afternoon towards Second and First Bridge. First, we came across 6 spotted hyenas in the road, and our second sighting are the 2 cheetah brothers.
Wow, what an incredible morning spent with those 2 cheetah brothers. I can't tell you how impressed I am with Third Bridge. And I'm not just talking about the game viewing, I'm talking about the campsite itself as well. Remember, Kaithan and I have now been traveling for about 2.5 weeks, and we've stayed in a number of different campsites, and some of them have been really rough. And I'm talking specifically about the ablution facilities. If you look at this block behind me, it looks identical to the ones that we had at Savuti, run by SKL, and at Kakanaka, run by Kwalate Safaris. And those ones were really in a very bad nick. No hot water. At Savuti, there was a generator running the whole time. At Kakanaka, it was literally falling to pieces, whereas here at Third Bridge, everything works. We've got hot water, the doors have handles, it's sparkling clean, there's toilet paper. And the campsite itself is just, well, absolutely perfect in terms of its location, the shade, the tap, just everything perfect. So to the Khwai group, well done, guys, for running a near perfect campsite. There's also a lovely tuck shop here. And yesterday we saw that they've got some Oma rusks. I'm going to go over and buy some right now. But just remember, you always have to be very careful when you walk around in these campsites. It's completely unfenced, and believe me, the animals do come through, not only during the night, but during the day as well. In fact, last night, we had quite a frightening encounter. We weren't aware of it when it happened, but the trail cam footage shows that last night, just before 1 o'clock, a hippo came into our campsite and literally walked up to Kaithan's tent and sniffed it probably from a foot away. So yeah, he's a little bit nervous, but hey, this is why we come here. This is the wild of Botswana. Just be careful. Don't walk around alone at night. Rather drive to the ablution facilities or make sure you do all your business while it's still light.
The tuck shop was very well stocked with everything from Sunlight liquid and tomato sauce to an assortment of biscuits and wine. There was also water and soft drinks for sale, as well as route maps of Moremi and Chobe.
That was very successful. Got some nice Oma rusks for tomorrow morning. Got some crisp for Kathan, and couldn't resist. Buy some chocolate as well. Geez, and I see they've got, what a great variety for a tuck shop in the middle of nowhere. There's firelighters and briquettes if you don't want to use wood. There's cleaning products, there's milk, there's water, alcoholic drinks, soft drinks, and just, pretty much anything you would need if you're going to run out here in the middle of nowhere. So, what a great little tuck shop. Time to have a bit of a break, relax a little bit, and then we'll head out again this afternoon. And our plan is to go and explore the area to the north of camp. We haven't been there yet, but we did hear lions roaring in that direction. So, fingers crossed that we've got another successful afternoon.
Early the following morning, we spotted something in the road. Wild dogs. Apparently this pack is known as the aquaponics, and true to their name, unfortunately they disappeared into the marsh where we couldn't follow them. Having had excellent cheetah sightings at Third Bridge and now a glimpse of wild dogs, we shifted our focus to bird watching for the rest of the morning.
So I spilled some diesel on my trousers, which is the only pair that I have, so I'm quickly washing that. And speaking about Tom Cruiser, we've done about 3,000 kilometers in it without giving us any trouble, so I'm very, very grateful for that.
And I sat back thinking this morning, it's amazing to think we're on day 20 of this overlanding adventure through Botswana. And what amazing things Keithan and I have experienced so far. Geez, if I have to think of the highlights, at Kubu Island we got up at 2:30 in the morning to photograph the Milky Way. We did that incredible 10-kilometer run on the salt pans, which is something that I'll never ever forget. And that road from Kubu Island to Gweta was just one big adventure. Then we went up to Savuti, and even though game viewing was quite difficult, we had a sighting of a brown hyena before we even got to camp.
Come on, so cool.
And we also had that amazing sighting of the two secretary birds building their nest and displaying. From there we went down to Mokoro, a place that I know and love so much, and we had that amazing sighting of the pride of lions with the cubbies and the big male. We camped under the camel thorn trees in the wildest campsite of the whole trip. And we also did that incredible Mokoro trip, which is one of the best ways to see the Okavango Delta. And then of course we came down here to Moremi, a place that I hadn't seen in over 30 years, and I must say I've completely fell in love with. The scenery up at Paradise Pools at Kakanaka was some of the most beautiful of the whole trip so far, and we had that wonderful elephant sighting late afternoon there as well. And the campsite there overlooking the swamps was probably my favorite of the whole trip. And then who can forget the Cheetah boys down here at Third Bridge? Probably my favorite area of the whole trip so far. I just love these open plains and the water holes, and I'm already starting to plan my next trip. For now, I'm going to get these pants clean. We're going to start packing up today because we want to leave early tomorrow morning so that we don't arrive in Maun too late. We've got something very special lined up.
Because Tom Cruiser was now fully laden again, I used the Lumio Pro Smart Pump Extreme and Indiflate to pump the tires to 2 bar. And early the next morning we hit the road towards Southgate.
Keithan and I were just talking now on our way out to Southgate. We can't leave Moremi without having seen lions. And he actually called it. He said we'd see them today on our way out. And here we are with a mating pair. Pretty decent light, great view, and a wonderful way to end our time here in Moremi. Oh, bless you.
We left Moremi at about 10:30 and then tackled the corrugations north of Maun one last time.
Oh my goodness, that road is so bumpy, but luckily we've come back here to Island Safari Lodge where we stayed exactly a week ago, just to relax a little bit and to have a shower, and we're already looking forward to another run tomorrow morning. But before we do that, we're going to head into town now to Helicopter Horizons, where we're going to experience the Okavango Delta from above. Thank you so much.
Peter, good
Peter, to meet you, Peter.
How's it going?
Peter, good to meet you. Yeah, we'll go have a look at the flood and then try and find a couple animals, and then we'll be doing a little landing out there as well.
Sounds great.
Sounds
Awesome.
All right. All right, folks. Time to go up.
This time of the year, the area close to town is typically very dry, but because it had rained a lot in the catchment area, the Okavango Delta was pushing up again. Peter actually flew us to the very tip of the incoming floodwater and took us right down so that we could see just how slowly it was inching its way back to Maun. The further away we got from Maun, the wetter it got, and at some stage we dropped down to a remote island to stretch our legs.
Thanks, Peter. That was great, man.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do it.
What do you got there?
Couple beers, couple Coca-Colas.
Sounds good. There we go, folks. We are parked somewhere in the middle of the delta. We saw an elephant and we thought, "Look, that looks like a nice place to land." Some lechwe made way for us, and Peter's kindly putting out some drinks for us as we slowly wait for the sun to set. But yeah, absolutely magical. It's such a nice time of the day to do a helicopter flight because with the sun sitting so low, there's beautiful texture everywhere, not only with the trees, but the paths that the elephants and the other animals walk. So yeah, really nice time of the day to do this.
We do a 2-year contract typically, so all the pilots here are foreign, as there's no rotorcraft authority in Botswana.
It felt surreal standing there with an elephant in the background, reminiscing about the past 3 weeks' adventures and already planning new ones.
Wow, last day in the Delta, folks. Man, it's sad to be leaving, but what a wonderful way to end this adventure. Thank you so much to Helicopter Horizons for bringing us out to this beautiful, beautiful place. If you guys want to experience the Okavango Delta from the air, go and check out Helicopter Horizons. I've added a link in the video description. Time for us to slowly fly back towards Maun, get a last few beautiful shots, and then we'll go and grab something nice to eat in town. For the first time in a while, we'll sit down at a restaurant again. Here we go, time to head back. No, it's been going well there. My pills have worked at like an absolute charm. So yeah, I'm surviving.
Over the past 23 days, Gaten and I had been to some of the most amazing places in Botswana. Khwai Rhino Sanctuary, Kubu Island, Savuti, Khwai and Moremi, thanks to our sponsor Jim Green Footwear. But we would end the trip at my favorite place in the whole country, Mashatu Game Reserve.
So you cannot do a Best of Botswana series without coming to Mashatu Game Reserve. So that's exactly what we've done. We've driven right across the country and we've come here to the Thuli block, and we're going to be spending one night at Thuli Safari Lodge Mashatu and one night underground in the Lala Limpopo Sleepout Hide.
Gaten actually joined me at Lala Limpopo last year shortly after it had opened. We also visited Mashatu's 2 new camps, Kolokolo and Shalimpo, on that trip, and I'll link to both those videos in the video description below. That visit was in October and Mashatu was bone dry. This time, however, we expected to see a lot more water on the reserve. Just after midday, we pulled into Tuli Safari Lodge Mashatu, one of the most beautiful and comfortable camps I've ever stayed at.
Man, it feels so good to be back here in Mashatu Game Reserve, not only because we're staying in the lap of luxury, but also because it feels like I've come home. For those of you that don't know, I actually used to work here many moons ago, and I know the camp and the reserve very, very well. In fact, I actually lead photographic safaris here at least once a year. Now, earlier today we had a lovely lunch. I managed to wash off all the dirt off my body, and I had a chance to admire my clean feet from a horizontal position, of course. And now this afternoon we're going to set out to see what we can find. Now, believe it or not, in the last 3 weeks we've only had 1 leopard sighting, and it was quite a poor sighting as well, but luckily Mashatu is known for good leopard sightings, and our guide Richard has assured me that this afternoon we're going to give ourselves a chance.
I've known Richard for 21 years and can honestly say he's one of the best guides I've ever met. And it felt good knowing we were in such good hands. Rather than exploring the rocky outcrops around camp, we headed straight for Nell's Flay, a nearby marsh that had filled up to its highest level in years. Knowing that the water would attract a lot of birds, we just had to see it with our own eyes. This water wonderland was an unexpected surprise and rivaled what Kathan and I had seen in the Okavango Delta. It's hard to believe that just 6 months earlier, this was a dust bowl. Mother Nature's seasonal transformations always have a way of leaving me breathless. At 5:15, Richard got a call over the radio that a leopard had been spotted along the Majali River. We put foot and headed straight there, smiling and waving at anything else we spotted along the way. We were desperate to see spots. We crossed the riverbed to get to the thicket on the other side where she had apparently been seen, and it didn't take us long to find her. It was an old female named Matosha, and she was busy marking her territory. Just when we thought we had lost her, she popped out along the river for a drink. Less than 2 hours in, and Mashatu had already delivered the leopard luck we had been hoping for. But this was only the start.
We just stopped to film some eland and then we heard a lion roaring in the background. So we've turned around, we're quickly nipping back in that direction. Let's see whether we get lucky. Right here. It's a big lion, eh? Wow, we found him. He's right here at the waterhole. That was so unbelievable. This male laid down, started listening, and his rival started roaring in the east. And then he responded as you saw. And the moment he finished, the jackal started calling. Oh, just another magical morning here at Mashatu.
But the magic was far from over.
It's non-stop action this morning. While we were looking at the lion, we heard some impalas give alarm calls in the distance. Followed up now, and now we can see all the giraffes looking at something in this direction. So yeah, let's see if we can find what they're looking at.
Under this tree, under the bridge. Oh. Yeah, two of them, two.
Tati just spotted 2 cheetahs. Thank you, impala. Thank you, giraffe. And thank you, Tati.
4, 5.
5 cheetahs. Unbelievable.
This wasn't the first time Kathan and I had seen these cheetahs. During our October visit last year, we found them very far from this spot, resting on a small rise. It was amazing to see how big the cubs had gotten, and even more amazing that all 4 of them had survived. 4 boys, by the way. What a great mother. After all the excitement, we stopped in a clearing to celebrate. Richard and Tati really was the dream team. But as we stood there enjoying our coffee, Gaithan and I had no idea that they weren't done yet. The best was still to come.
You will not believe it. We just finished our coffee, making our way back to camp, and Tati spotted a leopard here close to the Tuli Twin Rocks. That is the grand slam of big cats in one drive. My goodness, if we didn't have the footage to prove it, I don't think people would believe us if we told them what we saw this morning. And Richard and Tati, they were just on fire this morning. Their spotting skills, their tracking skills, their positioning. What a joy to work with a guide and a tracker like that. We're going to head through to the terrace now and have a nice brunch. Look at that. Thank you so much. Yum. In Afrikaans, we say maag is vol, oog is toe. Tummy's full, eyes closed. So we're going to go and have a nice nap now before we head over to the Lala Limpopo Sleepout Hide, where we're probably going to try and stay awake for most of the night. That is nearly 4,000 kilometers and 24 sunsets here in Botswana, and we end here tonight.
Just before 4 o'clock, Richard took us on a short drive from Tuli Safari Lodge Mashatu to the Lala Limpopo Sleepout Hide, where we were met by Photo Mashatu guide Joe.
Hi Joe.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, and you?
Good, thank you.
We have arrived. Man, it's good to be back. Yo. Here we go, folks. Back in the hive. Yeah, it's like we're home. Sure. I've literally only been sitting down for 5 minutes and the first elephants come in, and now there's a big warthog male approaching as well.
When it comes to underground hide design, the Limpopo Sleepout hide really is in a league of its own. If you like what you see, go check out my full Limpopo review from the previous visit when you're done with this episode. It's just gone 5:15, and as you can see behind me, the sun is just about to set. And that means that Joe's going to head out soon to place out the mobile lights. Now, for those of you that watched my Limpopo video that I posted last year, you'll remember that there's a number of different lights that Mashatu places around the edge of the water, and that gives you really unique photographic opportunities. And at that stage, when the hide was brand new, we had to use a little fiddly remote to change the intensity of each different light. This time I see they have a brand new panel on the wall, and you can change not only the intensity but also the warmth of each light individually. So really looking forward to seeing how that works. We just hope that something nice comes down to drink to act as our subject. Now, Kathan and I want to drive all the way back home to Hoedspruit tomorrow, so that means we're going to have to get some sleep. So whoever feels the strongest will probably take a 3-hour shift from 8 p.m. till 11 p.m. Then the other one will take the next 3-hour shift, and then we'll probably both do a 2-hour shift, and that should take us to sunrise. And then we'll see what it looks like. Maybe we get lucky with something nice early in the morning, and then probably around 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, we head back home to Hoedspruit. A black-backed jackal and another warthog came down shortly after sunset, and by 6 o'clock, Joe was ready to place out the lights. After learning how the new controls work, we grabbed a yummy dinner.
Wow, look at this.
Before settling in for the night. Can you believe it? We made it through the night in what ended up being quite a quiet night here at the Limpopo Sleepout Hide. But I suppose that's completely understandable considering how much water is left in the Vlei and here in the nearby Limpopo River. We did, however, see a couple of spotted hyenas and some black-backed jackals and a lone wildebeest bull, and the lions were roaring right throughout the night, so we still had an amazing time. A massive thank you to Mashatu Game Reserve and Photo Mashatu for hosting us in this special corner of Botswana, and to Jim Green Footwear for sponsoring this series and basically making this 26-day adventure possible. A massive shout out also to all my patrons from all over the globe
Your continued support means the absolute world to me. If you guys would like to get involved and support the Safari Expert YouTube channel, go and check out the link that I've added in the video description. I hope you enjoyed this 5-part series, and I'll see you guys on the next adventure.